So it is now 7 o'clock in the evening, and as usual, we are reflecting on the thought of the day issued earlier this morning and the prayer that goes with it. We can never really lose ourselves. Even if we go to a desert island, we find that we take ourselves with us. And so we may think that escapism is the answer, that we can go to a paradise-like place, golden sands, azure seas, blue skies, palm trees, the kind of idealized holiday that most people have in mind when they think of a kind of paradise. But of course, if we were to find such a place, we would still find mosquitoes. We'd still find the need to try and search for food. And the human nature that is embodied, that is, that has an embodied sense, still feels that they have to either reflect on the past with an air perhaps of regret, or look to the future with an air of anxiety. At this moment in time, many people are suffering from the malady of anxiety. But anxiety is centered around the future. And the thought of the day was centered around this theme. Anxiety is a kind of inward phrase, or preceded by an inward phrase, that feels that this future is uncertain. Even if we plan and try to accomplish something in the future, still it is loaded with anxiety. We may fail. And so, supposing we suspend all our goals as a predominant aspect of our thinking, supposing we leave the past where it belongs, since we cannot alter or change it, and the future is uncertain. But in previous evenings, we have discussed how the thought now can transform every future second, every future minute, every future day, week, month, and lifetime also. So this precious opportunity called the now, which I previously described as a blank check, never been used, is something that we can catch on to, something that we can sense, and we can't get away from it. We're always living with ourselves. But Vedanta tells us that beyond the physical, the psychical, the psychophysical, there is a deep aspect to us, what religion calls God. And it is only found in here and now. And it has the characteristic of love. Supposing we are able to tune our attention right now, as I'm speaking, with eyes a little closed, or certainly relaxed, with mind calm. It's a Saturday, so the pressure of work is not there necessarily. And just be, just to sit and be, just to leave all anxieties aside, and just to be. So sitting here with me, we have the opportunity to revel in the present moment. And when we find this connectedness, we will feel an element of great, great joy. And joy, of course, is the antidote to sorrow. And then we will also find peace, and peace is the antidote to anxiety. And when we find this peace that passeth all understanding, then we can find a kind of inner rapture by tuning into the glory of this absolute, the glory of the self, And when we see this glory, we can find it exhibited everywhere. We can find it exhibited in the air, in water, in sky, in breath. We can find it in every pulsation of the heart. Even now, we can put our hand on the physical heart and take the time to feel a pulsation there. The heart beats approximately once per second. It knows how to pump and relax. It is not me that is pumping it. Some inner, internal, loving entity does it for me. And in appreciation of this, I can turn my thoughts to the spiritual inner heart, which is in me, for the sake of meditation, an entity of the size of a thumb. Sometimes it is easy to imagine a light, such as a candle flame, and then within that, another lamp, another flame, and then within that, another, and within that, another. 4 or 5 times we can do it. And once we have imagined that there is this essential thing represented as a light, a lamp, which according to Upanishad is unborn, whose consciousness is not flickering. Normally when we light a lamp, we find the flame flickers, but in this case, unflickering. And then to mentally bring that in to the inner heart, beyond the pulsing heart that keeps our biology alive. Supposing we were able to tune into this in this present moment, just for a few seconds even, we would find the mind calm and poised. We would find that fundamental essence, which is one without a second. We would find, even just for that moment, all the dross of our anxiety disappear. Anxiety, worry, people are suffering from this only because they are future orientated. As soon as we become tuned into this present moment, this here, this now, this glory, this existent entity, this life of life, this breath of breath, this light of light, life of life, love of love, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, speech of speech, the mind of the mind. This inner entity, as soon as we sit in a poised position within, immediately we find calmness. Immediately. We don't have to wait very long for it. Supposing we can sustain this beyond the borders of a few seconds, supposing we can skillfully rehearse this, supposing we spend our life with this undercurrent of familiar peace, this great familiar presence, which is divine, this companionship. Supposing we are able to tune into this on a regular basis so that it becomes habitual, then our whole life will change. And when our whole life changes, our reaction to the external circumstances changes, we influence others also, and we also influence what I was saying yesterday. We influence the very, very events of the future for the better. So let us finish off this small reflection with some Shanti mantras. Om, and I hope you'll join me in this. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Uvaro Andanat Mritya Mokshaya Mamritat We worship that Lord, imbued with all auspiciousness, with deep spiritual insight, who is master of all the senses and qualities, and who is the sustainer of all our growth. May that one liberate us from death and anxiety for the sake of immortality, even as we can observe a fruit or a ripened cucumber is severed from its bondage, which in fact is the plant. And then let us consider some peace. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Shanto Miramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashit Dukhabhag Bhavit. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya, Tamasa Ma Jyotirgamaya, Pratyo Mamritam Gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamiva Vashishyate. May all be fit for perfection. May auspiciousness be unto all. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all look to the good of others, and may none suffer. God, please lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from ignorance to knowledge, and lead us from this death to immortality. That is perfect, this is perfect. What comes from such perfection is truly perfect, and what remains after perfection, from perfection, is yet still perfection and fullness. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. I look forward to meeting with you to expand on the thought for the day, the prayer tomorrow. Have a good evening and a good night's rest. Peace, peace be unto all. Namaste.